What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to another dope edition of Define Your Legacy. All right, I'm your host, this is Elijah McBee. And before we tap into today's episode, just want to shout out the online store of Define Your Legacy, all right, which can be found at the link in the description of this episode, all right? Feel free to check it out. We have t-shirts, long sleeves, hoodies, and a whole lot more, all right? But to jump right into today's episode, all right, we have Jazz on the show. What's going on, bro?
What's going on, man? How we doing?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. Appreciate you for pulling up on the show. Of course, of course, of
Absolutely.
course. So if you could, man, just introduce yourself and tell the world what it is that you do and the value that you provide.
Awesome, man. Yeah, so I'm Jazz Wright. Like you had put it, I do online programming. My full-time job, I'm a fitness manager, but I do online workouts. Get Fit Right LLC established it last January. So pretty much at your leisure, I'm able to create your workouts, whether it's at home, at a gym, right? If you're someone that has been working out for a while, brand new, looking to lose weight, it's a lot predicated on weight loss, but it's really just lifestyle. So it's more so uh, making sure that I create your workouts for you to get you to your goal, but also teach you how to do it. And that's the main value of what I'm able to bring. So been training, over 13 years. I used to be heavy, used to be really overweight. I was like 310, believe it or not, and lost that weight. So I know the struggles of someone that I may be aesthetic looking now, but I used to be like really obese. And this is up until like 16. So I'm able to create workouts. My website, getfitright.net. You can check it out. And right now I'm looking for some more clients. And the biggest thing, like I said, is not just try to make a business, but also make sure that you're learning how to be the healthiest version of yourself. Especially what we've been over this past 2-3 years, where people are extremely overweight now or just not in their best shape. And there's no better place to start than to be able to create workouts. You don't got to be there in person, but whatever time you want to work out, you're able to do that with the workouts. I have an app that I use. I'm trainerized, and looking forward to helping as many people as possible, man. So really grew it from, like I said, last January or so. Got about 30 to 40 clients now. I'm looking to continue to build and love to work. So my biggest thing is bringing as much value as I can and helping you find the best version of yourself through fitness. So I'm here for it, man.
For sure, for sure. And I heard you mention obviously the online portion, right? And you also
Right,
touched on the fact that these last 2 or 3 years we've entered a space where a lot of things have been virtual and online. So
right.
talk to me too about adjusting and adapting to that kind of thing.
Yeah, man. So the reason why I got started, and I think a lot of businesses have been made in dark times like that, is because, with my full time job, and it's an outstanding organization I work for, but obviously during that time, a lot of people weren't able to work, and also with that, a lot of boredom time when you're kind of sitting. And I'm someone that I'd say I was a bored eater even back then, and still am. So once if you're someone that has been overweight, right, for a while, you understand that boredom brings destruction a lot of times. So during that sort of lull we had for 2 years, which is obviously still going on, a lot of weight was put on. And even for myself, I put on some weight too, and wasn't able to go out and be able to work out, and wasn't able to interact with trainers and be able to just be in a gym. We just couldn't do it for a long time. Still struggling with that now. So that's where the idea kind of came up is, if I'm able to virtually give you some kind of workout, where I'm able to send you something, whether it's a 8x8 space or something like that, some dumbbells, a kettlebell, and obviously the online business is booming with ordering equipment. It doesn't have to be something that's super expensive. Just being able to stay active in your backyard, right, while you're in home, something like that, being able to do something virtual will help you stay in shape no matter what happens. So the internet was already booming, but especially now, with new strands of whatever coming on, and we're seeing stuff every day. It kind of shocked a lot of us knowing that we got to be able to not only provide business online, but help people and build value. And that's what business is all about. So that just shocked myself included, with being able to start something to build value, that I don't got to be, face to face with somebody, especially with something that serious that's going on now. So,
Right. And so when we mention that face to face kind of thing, it's like, do you develop your plans, your workouts specifically to the person, or is it more general? Is it more of like, is it like a guide as opposed to,
mhm.
or is it more like catered to an individual?
So everything is completely customized. What you'll find is a lot of people fall in certain brackets, whether it's someone that's brand new to working out, someone that has been kind of deacclimated to working out for a while, or someone that is relatively advanced. So no matter what it is, I'm able to customize it with the environment you're in, or whatever kind of role you play in regards to like how long in your exercise journey it is. So nothing is generalized. I make it super simple.
Mm.
There's some clients I have that like the science behind it, but I feel like I should be able to speak in layman's terms so they could understand it, and then we could kind of grow into something larger than that. So I have clients that I've originally started with, now they're light years ahead. with talking about time under tension, the boring, the nerdy stuff that I like. Now they understand that now because we want to make sure that we don't plateau somewhere. So it's really, really customized for every single individual. I take a lot of time doing it. I wake up before work and do it. I do it afterwards. So it's 24/7 communication. I always got my phone on me. To fault sometimes where I never really turn it off, but I just think that that's what you need to be able to do to make sure people want to always, come back and grow when it comes to exercise and fitness.
Yeah. And two, like, again, touching on the online side as well, how, I guess, convenient, even though it sounds like it's been an adjustment for everybody, right? These past 2 or 3 years, but how convenient would you say it's been to now have products and services be readily available online for people to get active with immediately?
I think it's extremely convenient. And the thing is, when I had first started it, I seen a few people doing. I saw online training, and to kind of go a little bit more in depth, specifically what I do. It's something where there's videos sent to you, so it's not me actually training you like on FaceTime. I haven't done that because I wanted at the same time be able to live my life. I'm doing real estate at the same time, and a lot of times there's a whole market for that where people are like, I don't necessarily need somebody there to push me, but I want to be able to reach out to a coach and be able to see how to do the workouts and just have something specific on how to do those things. So there's an entire market for that where it's extremely convenient. I know how to work out. I just need a plan. I need some kind of accountability. And investing in something is going to make you have to move. You know what I'm saying? I think people a lot of times try to shortcut certain things where it's like, what could I get for free? And I think there's value in giving, but if you invest in it, man, you got some skin in the game now. So there's a huge market, and not to get too derailed, but in the past I've had that where years ago people would say, and I don't need a trainer, right? With my other job, like I don't necessarily need one. I just need somebody to make workouts for me. I don't need somebody there in front of me. And I kept hearing that stuff, and I'm like, there's got to be an entire market for that. So this is just proof in the pudding that I'm able to build a business off of this in the past year, where there's an entire demographic that just need workouts, accountability, learning how to do it, how to eat properly, nutrition advice. And my goal at the end of the day is to get you to a point where you don't need me. I think if our relationship grows there, you want that. But I want you to learn how to do it. And I've had clients lost 50, 60 pounds and still keep in touch. And regardless of what financial gain I get from them, that's the best part of it, is making the world better. We're like, you learn how to do it and them reaching back out, there is no dollar amount I could put on that. And I love it because it took me being overweight, not really knowing how to do it. And something I always say is I'm not necessarily responsible for where I got to in regards to like my upbringing, but I'm accountable for where I want to go going forward. So even though I was overweight, I got there, I was young, I didn't know anything about calories, macros and stuff. I was, obese by 16. At that point, I'm accountable. I got to move forward and figure out how to get there. So I was almost like a mad scientist the past 13, 14 years, a lot of frustration, a lot of growth, right? Kind of being confused. And I take that entire time and try to minimize it so you could understand how to do that and not have to go through the pitfalls of 13 years of fitness to get to that goal. So I just think it's a great thing so far, and it's been working. And long story short, there's a lot of value in it. And I've seen that where people, continue to thank me for it. And I'm just grateful that, God bless me with that idea and continue to push it and kind of move forward with it.
And even in, starting your journey now, or being on your journey now in the fitness space for 13 years, right? Was there a moment that clicked for you that made you say, you know what, I have to start this business, or like, you know what, this is bigger than just me, right? This is bigger than just me solving my obesity problem, but someone else out there may need this information?
Yeah. So when I first started the journey, it was strictly for myself because I just hated how I felt, right? If we go back, and this was at 16. I remember sitting with a few of my boys. I'm from Bloomfield, so I was at Bloomfield High, 16 years old. It was December. It was 2008, and then I wrote my planner, Miss Norris class. I was sitting with my boy Juan Crespo and Mark Lee. They were on my left and my right. Wrote on my planner. I said January 2nd, 2009. I'm making a change for my life. Right? We play football, stuff like that. But I remember I got on the scale. It's 310. Wrote in my planner, and since that day, I never looked back. So that entire time was mostly for me. I never thought of doing training until probably, because I've had a few businesses that didn't do well when I was young. I just kind of threw some stuff together, right? So I didn't think about that probably till about 8 years in. And I'm like, all right, maybe I could train, right? Because I looked the part. I could do that past football, right? The NFL whole thing was kind of like on the back burner. Now I got to start making money, make some things happen. And I think the biggest thing was probably the when I last started that, I was like, when I first started this business, right? And the one that didn't do too well, I wasn't doing everything I possibly can for my clients. It was mostly because I was younger, the financial part, which I think a lot of people fall into a business. But business is about people, You know what I'm saying? So if you're trying to build as much value as you can for that person, the money will always come. And I didn't realize that I had some growth that I had to do. So the recent one I did, it was literally starting with my aunt, and she didn't have to pay. It was my aunt, right? So I was like, I wonder what I can get two people if I just gave this one person, which was my aunt, everything I possibly could. If I treated this business like it was $1 billion business with this one person and continue to duplicate. I started with that. I just led by faith, and I was like, I'm gonna do everything I can, like you're paying me $5,000 a month. You know what I'm saying? And from that, it grew. I started to get more ideas. I was able to build that. And now that's when I realized, man, I do everything I possibly can for each client that I have, no matter what. And I've been able to see with the full-time job I have now as a fitness manager, and just looking around at certain business, because now I'm just addicted to learning. So I see the get quick rich schemes, and I see this stuff where, just 6 weeks to get shredded, you can lose 50 pounds, which is, number one, super unhealthy. Number two, it's just not true. You know what I'm saying? So when I'm able to go out there for the people, it's just the blessings continue to come in, and there's no better blessing than being able to help somebody or give my all. When I have those days where I'm doing 16, 18-hour days for my clients, for whatever I got to do, that feeling of going to sleep, almost passing out because I'm so tired, there's no feeling like a hard day's work, right? Especially for people. So when I had that, it started to get more addicting, and I started to grow that way. And now, like I said at the beginning, that is, to me, more profitable in my heart than any money could bring. That's just the second part of it. You know what I'm saying? So that's when it started to click, when I was like, all right, I'm going to dive in to help as many people as possible, individually at a time, and completely customize it. And I'm big on 5-star service. So I'm always striving for that. In my business, I have a quote: everything worth having is uphill, right? That's from John C. Maxwell, one of the people that I always follow as far as podcasts. He's a pastor as well. But always striving for that 5-star, always going uphill. And it goes right to my training style is continue to grind, continue to have that grit, right? And that's the same thing I do for my people. Is when I feel tired, when I know I should probably send out that message, right, that I don't have to, let me do it, man. It takes 2 seconds. So those little steps I take, right? Life is a game of inches. When I take those little steps, it grows into that mountain, right? So I don't look at the bigger picture all the time. I have that, but I take those little steps. I lay that one brick a day for that person, that little message that I don't gotta send. Even if I'm going to send it, I'm going to just do it and continue to do those little things. So, like I said, a little long-winded, but yes, absolutely. It kind of grew into that where I'm like, this is the type of trainer I want to be. This is the type of value I want to bring, for sure.
But talk to me too about those quote unquote little things, right? Because I'm also a big believer in just like the idea of it's okay to hit singles, right? It's okay to, kind of, I won't say take your time, but, have smaller goals before you swing and try to hit a home run, right? So how important do you think that's been for your overall growth, right? Just focusing on getting certain goals done as opposed to getting one massive goal done in, 24 hours.
Right. So if you look at, if you're a sports person, if you're someone that loves paint, if you like Picasso, you like anybody that's, whoever just is obsessive about something, is always those little things, right? And even the quote I said with the one brick came from Will Smith. I don't know where he got it from, but look at where he's built his life to, right? Is when you look at something huge, and again, I don't put religion on anybody, but if you're faithful over a few, you'll be ruler over many, right? So the little things you have, whether it's cleaning your house, whatever it is, those little things, if you're able to do anything like you do everything, right? If you're really immaculate with that one thing, it's going to grow into that goal or whatever you want. It's good to look at the big picture, because I'm a dreamer, right? We got to do that. If there's someone that's an entrepreneur, you got to be a dreamer, right? But sometimes you're not able to digest that big thing and look at it if you're always going over those monster things. You got to break it down, right? Some people, it can be overwhelming. And if you're just focused on that one thing you're doing, remain present, right? Always be where your feet are. Before you know it, you look back, man, you just made a whole castle, right? You just made a whole dynasty. And you don't want to get too overwhelmed, because that's when you have the fear, or this is going to take too long. If I'm looking at this huge building, if I'm trying to build this $1 billion business, you look at the whole thing, it takes forever, right? You look at these monuments, it takes forever. But if you just focus on that brick and you lay it as perfectly as you can, you'll get through that day, and you'll have help come along the way. So it's extremely important to do those little things, right? A Kobe Bryant, whoever it is, free throws, just really monotonous and obsessive. You got to be obsessed, regardless of what the goal is, right? If you're someone with an average mindset, whatever it may be, if you just want to be the average guy, nothing wrong with that at all. But you still got to be faithful of those few things. You still got to have those incremental wins, because they lead to those big things. I don't know anybody that's a legend that wasn't very faithful over a few, right? That wasn't doing those little things perfectly, like maniacal, almost obsessively, like I said, obnoxiously, just to be as perfect as possible. And then it turns into a masterpiece, no matter what field. So that's another thing I think is awesome is so much success is duplicatable, right? I could close my eyes and just listen to someone talk, and I don't know if it's Michael Jordan or, like I said, if it's Picasso talking, right? It's that obsessive kind of want and need to get those little things right,
Yeah.
and just be very, very monotonous about it for sure, 100%.
Yeah, and it's like that for a lot of things. I feel like, right? Like,
Yeah,
when we're talking about money, fitness, you're trying to start a tutoring business, vending machine, whatever. It's like, you
right,
want to spend as much time as you possibly can trying to perfect your craft and understand that, like, even though, like you said, there is a bigger picture. At the same time,
right.
let's handle what really needs to be handled today, right? Because I think like so often people tend to stress themselves out by focusing on a larger goal that they can't accomplish within 24 hours, right? Like, what is it that you can get done today, right? So, like, 5-year
Right,
goals, 10-year goals are important, right? Even 5-6 months are
right,
important. But at the same time,
right,
what can you get done in a 24-hour span that's reasonable? Start there, and then
right,
we can start talking about, like, all right, I see myself here in a decade or whatever. But, like,
right.
don't try and talk to yourself about where we're going to be at 30 years from now if you can't even identify where we're going to be at 30 hours from now. So
Right, right. And to that point, not to cut you off, man,
yeah,
it's like a lot of times when you look back, right, if you have these goals, though that big goal you had it, you're not even that person yet. So a lot
mm,
of times we wish we could get there, but if you were there, you couldn't even handle it, right? And that's what I learned from growing is like if I had there, even with finance, whatever it is, finances, because more money you get, more responsibility, right? More aspirations you have, more responsibility. You may fold if you were there already. You're not ready for that yet. You're not
mm,
that person yet. I think if you're able to grasp that concept, you look forward to the journey, right? Again, I'm a fitness manager, so I have 14, 15 trainers I work with now, and I always tell them, just like everything's so duplicatable, you got to love the process, as cliche as it is, because if you think of that goal, that grind is this big, the win is this big.
mm.
So if you don't like this part and you're only living for this part, you're not gonna make it, right? That dynasty, that goal, whatever you have, that KPI you want to hit, you have to find a way to love that process, which is the little brick every day, because it's so much bigger than that little win you had. If you any victory you've had, any game you've won, whatever it is, if you think about when you really celebrate it in that all moment, right? That moment that takes your breath away is so short lived that you gotta love that process. You gotta love that uphill grind. You gotta figure out a way to love that journey. You become a monster the entire time because you fall in love with that. So back to that big picture point, you'll get there, but just you gotta think, am I doing anything to sabotage myself? Am I not doing the right things to get there? Because I don't even think I'm that person yet. And you should be thankful you're not there yet because you're not that person. The worst feeling is to get there, like many people we've seen in music and fitness and athletics. You get there and it folds because you weren't even ready for that yet. You know what I mean? You lucked up and got something and you were not that person to get there. So you got to enjoy that process and who you become before you get there and you're ready to go to the next goal. So appreciate those little steps before you get that goal, man, and love who you become. And back to my other point, man, be as present as you can. And that's very, very difficult to do if you're a dreamer or entrepreneur, is try to be where your feet are. There's several times, right, with my girl or whoever, with my mom, whatever it is. And if I'm thinking of, my wheels are always going, what's next, what's next, what's next, what's next. And I'm missing out on those moments. And I sometimes got to literally wiggle my toes where I am, wherever I'm at, kind of feel the seat where I'm at and be present. Just enjoy that journey where you are, even though you got to have that balance. So remain present, indulge fully in where you are in the conversation, feel your breath, whatever it may be, to make sure that you capitalize on where you are because it's going like that. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? It's going like that. So
yeah. And the journey and the destination obviously are two very different places, right? But
right,
I'm sure even on the fitness side, right, the journey can probably be a high one and a low one for a lot of people. So what's, I guess,
sure.
a mindset thing that you may try and either tell or encourage people to deal with over the course of their journey? Because obviously the physical part is okay. You either want to gain
Mm-hmm,
weight, lose weight, whatever. But I'm sure
mm-hmm,
there's mental hurdles, right, that your
mm-hmm,
clients, other trainers, whatever, may have to deal with. So what's something
mm-hmm.
that you feel is something that they could kind of use to boost their energy?
I would say the main thing that, number one, if I'm there as your trainer, I'm going to always be there. You always reach out to me. I'm always 24/7, like I said, to reach out. But one thing you got to tap into is, especially if you've been, and typically when you're overweight, it's been like that for a little while. There's not many people that were thinner and then just put this weight on out of nowhere. A lot of times, it is a big mental hurdle. And the reason I'm saying that again is because I've been there before for years. And, speaking from someone that is heavier, it's the same cycle, right? At the end of the day, it's very, very difficult because you need food, right? At the end of the day, and a lot of times you're in this cycle where you overeat or you closet eat, right? Or you board eat is one of the biggest things. So if it's something where it's that mental hurdle, number one, look at your day. How full is your day? Try to get a little bit more activity in that day, some more hobbies, which is directly predicated on just success. If you have a goal to do something, if you're more active or your mind's occupied somewhere, whether it's journaling, whether it's starting that business, if you're more busy, you won't be sitting down watching TV and the first thing coming to your mind is eat something. Secondly, and it's tough, is because it's you versus you at the end of the day. It always is, no matter what business you're in or you're trying to lose weight. I know for me, your mind will start to play tricks on you with eating that bad stuff or overeating, where you get to the point where you're eating past being full. You're just eating for taste now because you like that certain food or whatever it may be, but you never feel better afterwards. You always regret it when you overeat. So it becomes that same cycle, right? Let's say your favorite food is Chinese or something like that, and you know that this is a certain dish that's high in calories, right? That's what's going to make you gain the weight. You eat that food, and afterwards, you always feel bad every single time, right? And a lot of times it's about your setup, meaning in that day, did you set yourself up for success? Do you have enough meals planned? Are you eating things that are going to keep you satious, higher protein, right? Keep you fuller? Or are you waiting all day until you're starving? Because my biggest thing is I'm not one of the trainers that'll tell you, just eat salad, eat this, right? Those things are important, eating vegetables. But once you're hungry, you already lost. It's a wrap. Once you're starving, you're done. You're going in the fridge. I don't care who you are done, because you may have some willpower, but I don't care if you're someone that has, extremely mentally strong, the willpower is going to break. And a lot of people, what I find is when they try to go on this diet, they do these crazy crash diets, liquid diets, of cutting like 1,000 calories, which is ridiculous. And you only have so much willpower, man. By a weekend, what ends up happening is first of all, if you're doing that drastic cut, you're probably losing water weight at the beginning anyways, right? So you see the scale go down 5, 6, 7 pounds. That's a lot of water weight. It's not really fat yet. Then by the time you get a weekend, you're starving from completely depleting yourself. You overeat and binge eat, and now you put even more weight on than when you started with. Then that's completely depleting, right? So number one is your setup. How is your day set up? You don't necessarily have to cook meals for the week, which a lot of people do. It has to be something where, can I do this for the rest of my life? Meaning if it means that day, I wake up a little bit earlier, cook for that day, right? Where I make better choices at the grocery store, restaurants, because it comes down to calories, right? And I help you with that. Or can I cook for the week? Is Sunday my day where I do it? Can I do this consistently? Because again, you want to step back. I've tried this before, right? If you're a client, just speaking to yourself, I've tried this before, and I always fail 2 weeks in. If you're failing 2 weeks in, figure out what you've been doing, and now we just got to switch it up. And I help you with that to figure it out. You may not be somebody that you're looking on YouTube, you can't do the Sunday because you got 3 kids, you got to go to church, you got to do this. You're not going to have 4 hours to cook. So now we got to shift. Just like anything else, now I got to shift for success. Doing the same thing over and over is what? It's insanity, right? So what I would say is, for those mental pitfalls, it's going to be obviously thinking of what I can do differently, which I assist with, because it could be overwhelming. You can't really fix yourself, right? And then on top of that, always remembering how I feel after I do that same routine. After I overeat, I never feel better afterwards. When I buy that pizza and I know I shouldn't, I got food in the fridge, I never feel better afterwards. It's my mind telling me this time will be different. Never is. Now you're just putting weight on. You feel horrible the next day. Besides just mentally, not even getting into indigestion, right? Your stomach being upset. Now you can't perform. And if you think about it, when you overeat like that, your blood pressure goes through the roof, because now you have a whole bunch of food in your stomach, and all your pretty much your blood is going from your brain, your body, right to your stomach to digest. Then you got to go perform at work, or you got to sit, be an account, whenever you're doing. You're so lethargic at that point from overeating, you cannot produce. So it's hurting you more than anything else. Another thing I'll say lastly is, remember, your health and fitness is number one. And I don't want anybody to take this the wrong way, but it is more important, right, than family, more important than kids, more important than anything else. And I'm going to relate it to when you're on an airplane and say it was going down, knock on wood, you put your mask on first. You have to do that. So a lot of people look at fitness and they look at the vanity of it. And for me, when I first started, it was that I just wanted to look good. But when I started to do it, it was more for my mind. And this is second nature. So genetically, I've been blessed where I'm able to look how I do. You may not look super, super shredded, but you could always be a better version of yourself. And once you get your health in check, right, whether it's 30 minutes a day, 4 days a week, everything else will be better. You'll have more mental clarity. You'll perform better. You'll be healthier, and every other aspect will be better. So your health is so much more important than anything else, because I don't care how much money you got in the bank. I don't care how good your relationships are with your family. If you're not around long enough, and this is how serious it is to live for it, it doesn't matter, man. I mean, this is a matter of 10, 20, 30, 40 years you're putting on your life. You know what I'm saying? So it's extremely, extremely serious. And we've seen that COVID and The things we've been dealing with have mostly attacked people overweight,
Mm.
people that are unhealthy and older. So you have no choice now. And I think that's the world's way of kind of waking us up. Like, man, you got to get it together, right? It's not going to happen overnight, but this is not, at this point, it is not even up for negotiation. This is a must. And there's no better way to do it than investing. Put your money where your mouth is, put some money into it. You got to invest. There are no shortcuts. You cannot go on YouTube and just figure it out. Anybody telling you that you could just do it for free, not going to happen. Are there some one-offs where you kind of do, but you got to think, if I'm dealing with a sickness outside of fitness, I can't handle it myself. I need to pay a doctor. If my finances have been garbage this entire time, I can't wake up and say, now I'm going to start to save. I need a financial advisor. So it's the same thing with fitness. This is not a shortcut. And you got to get with somebody that's they got to be obsessed, man. Again, and if you're looking at a trainer, even if it's not me, I just want the world to be a better place, more fit. Find somebody that practices what they preach, so they have the moral authority, and make sure that they're doing that continually and helping other people get there. And listen and ask them questions, right? If you got somebody that's a trainer, say you started with them and they're kind of shortchanging you a little bit, they can't give you an answer. They either better give you an answer or they better say, I'll get right back to you. I'm not sure. And they better get right back to you within 24 hours. That's how you know they're serious with whatever they do. So again, long-winded, but there are certain ways that you can watch out for pitfalls. And I go more in depth with my clients as well, too, and how to watch out for those things. Because I've lived it. So.
And do you think, even going off that, right, do you think that there's a strong connection, if you will, between financial literacy and fitness? Because right now, obviously, in America, with the way inflation is, the wage gap, and all of that, certain people either may not have access, not necessarily to a gym or anything like that, but, from a money perspective, and it's not even whether or not people can afford to go to the gym or whatever, but the prices of certain foods, right? If those are increasing, right? Are there certain things that equipment that other people can't buy, right? And again, statistically speaking, right, wealth gaps exist. It's just the way the world is. But do you think there's any correlation or connection between how much a person makes and their overall fitness, or how a person spends their money in their overall fitness, or a person's employment history and their overall fitness? Do you think there's some sort of connection between those two parties that can really be easily able to be identified?
I would say there's two parts to that. So number one, it's very expensive to be overweight. It's very expensive to be overweight because that money's going somewhere. And I've done this from my previous job as a fitness manager too. I've literally sat with somebody and they told me they spent about $10,000 on beer, but they claimed to not have much money a month. They were transparent about it, right? So when you're heavy, you're spending a lot of money. It's just redirecting where that money is, right? Secondly, a membership's $10. You know what I'm saying? And it's for your life, right? Most places 10, sometimes you got 5, and a lot of gyms are trying to make it even cheaper. And then third, I would agree to that point only because your mind isn't really right. The money's going somewhere, right? And you could do calisthenics to some point to get in shape, right? You could, because the main thing is cardio is going to help you lose the weight. Let's say it's a weight loss, right? Weightlifting is very important, but your caloric intake and cardio will help you with that for the most part. So you can do that without any weights. At some point, you want some kind of progressive overload, meaning you want to make it more strenuous. So you do want a gym, but it's $10 a month. And I think with sort of where people are financially, a lot of times it's your mindset. Where's your money going and how are you thinking? So if you're not in the mindset of fitness is very important, I'd rather spend money on going out, getting bottles, whatever it may be, there's money being spent. You know what I'm saying? There's a very, very finite amount of people that just don't have it at all. But the ground is free. Walking around is free, right? All that stuff is free, at least to get started if you're someone trying to lose weight. Trying to put on some masks, unless you are completely just out on the street, you know what I'm saying? There's always a way. There's always a way. But what you'll find is a lot of times those people that are saying that they don't have the money, man, they're buying food every day, 20, 30, 40 bucks a day. They're just got to navigate where that money's going, right? So if you think about it, go to any place, any fast food place, 20 bucks for a meal. You spend 20 bucks, you're getting a whole pack of chicken, right? That'll last you a while. That'll last you 2-3 days. Instead of one meal, now that's lasting you 2 or 3 days. So it's really not that expensive unless you're trying to go the organic route or something like that. But it's actually cheaper, man, because a lot of times, like I said, I've had these conversations where they'll say they don't have any money. And I never am probing with where's your money going, but they'll say it openly, right? There's a way to kind of talk about that because I want to help them. And the money is going somewhere. So there's people that, again, the financial part can be an issue, but not from a monetary standpoint in the sense of I can't afford to go to the gym or I can't read navigate where my money's going, to be honest with you. So I think everybody can do it, no matter where you are. I don't care if you got a kettlebell. I don't care if it's a 5x5 spot. And again, I can help you with that because I'm obsessed with it. I've done it forever. So we just got to get that thinking right. And I think we'll figure out some wiggle room to get you in a facility or something like that.
Yeah. And I mean, you bring up a great point, is that like, even if you're not like a financial advisor, right? So we all make decisions, right? So if someone says, okay, you should invest $500 a month into the stock market, right, to relate to financial literacy or whatever, and you say, okay, I don't have that money, I can't afford it. Okay, cool, no one's pocket watch, cool, do what you gotta do.
Right.
But if a vacation gets presented to you and it costs $2,000-$3,000, and all of a sudden you say, oh, that ain't shit, I got the money, of course. I get that. So what are we really doing here? It's either you, again, it's your life at the end of the day. But don't sit here and say that 500, and again, we can replace the numbers. Like everyone is, I don't care that, but we can replace the numbers. But don't say, oh, I don't have money to invest in this. Or, I don't have money to buy this book. I don't have money to go to this conference. And then another opportunity that presents itself, that costs more, mind you.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, that's light. I got that. What I'm saying? And so again, even with the fitness front, and again, everyone is a consumer, right? So everyone is in different lanes and spaces, and I think we all tend to put a certain level of judgment on certain things, right? So yours is fitness, mine is financial literacy. Some people are heavier into real estate, vending machines, whatever. Like, like I'm not a financial advisor, so I don't tell anyone what to spend their money on. But I just want us to really acknowledge that when we are saying, right, that I don't have money to spend some on this, cool, no problem. But at the same time, don't tiptoe and then say, I got some bread to spend over here. Why not? Because now it really does come to decision. It's almost like, for people that go to the gym too early or whatever. It's like, okay, if you say, all right, you know what, I'm going to go to the gym at 6 in the morning. Someone says, damn, that's too early. I'm not waking up or whatever. But if there's another opportunity, right, that you'd be very interested in, and it was at 6 a.m., you wake up. Now, what are we really doing? What's the conversation here?
Right.
You feel me? So
100%.
It really, to me, is a mindset thing again, and this covers across all layers. So taking it from the top, right? If someone were interested in having and developing their own online fitness program, right? If someone may either have gone through a similar situation that you had to go through, dealing with that early on, especially in your teenage years, and even if someone didn't deal with that, right? But they still want to develop an online fitness program. What would you kind of advise them to do? I guess starting from the top, like, is it deal with clients first? Is it deal with marketing? Is it developing a plan first? What would you say?
What I would say is the number one thing is, and it's all self-reflective, even what we were just talking about, is making sure that you got to be living it, right? And I'm going to say that goes without saying. You got to be living it. You can't be somebody that just wants to be like, all right, I'm seeing people doing well with fitness. Let me just try to do as much research as I can and build a business. People see through that stuff. You got to be upset if you want to be successful, right? Like, and I think your name and who you are goes for everything. Because the last thing you want to do is start this up. You're not really invested in it yourself, or you love fitness, and you get a bad rep, right? So your reputation walks in the room before you do. So you try to do that, and then you try to go in another field. People are going to know who you are. So if you're someone trying to start it up, have that goes without saying. And what I would say is you definitely want to, kind of figure out whether it's a LLC, whatever it is, protect yourself. So get some kind of insurance for sure before you're trying to assist with people in regards to nutrition. That's very, very touchy. And make sure that you have kind of your things together in regards to, so you don't get sued or anything like that. Have that paperwork together. Where, a simple agreement, you could pay somebody to do it. I've done that the first time as well. It could be kind of pricey, but you can literally have your own agreement written up so that you can't be sued for the most part. So you want to have that knowledge. But if you really wanted to go more in depth, I'd have some kind of education behind it. So either, I got my bachelor's in exercise science, and a lot of other certificates as well too. So you need that education to back you. So you want to have that. So it could be something where your resume is built up as well. You don't want to just be someone building it. You can just off of your upbringing or kind of getting into shape, things of that nature. But in order to compete, especially now in the online world, you want to have some kind of certificate or education behind it. Like I said, a LLC or something backing you where you don't get sued, and then some kind of agreement as well too. And then obviously into a website. But the website part could come later. There's so many different resources you can use for free websites and stuff. I paid for mine because I wanted it as professional as possible. But if you don't have that resource, you could start with something. I forgot which app it is, but there's a bunch of apps out there where you can just develop something for free, have somebody do it for you, pay them maybe. But as professional as possible, you want to get that going. And then figure out, do as much research as you can to see where your rates are as far as making it competitive, right? With other people, where they stand, where you're going to start off. What I would say is you don't want to have anything astronomical, especially if you don't got a cert, you don't got a bachelor's, you haven't really worked with anybody before. So it has to be reasonable. You want to be able to somewhat make a living, but make sure that this is something I'd suggest if you're older and you got to support, family, whatever it is, keep the job you have 100%, build that on the side, and baby steps. It takes a long time, number one, to get profitable. That first year, you'd probably be in the red. I know I did. And then number two, to build this thing. It's just like everything we're saying, anything that you want to build, especially something that you want to be able to carry you, and be able to scale and be able to be a full-time entrepreneur. It takes some time. It takes some grit, some hard work. But those will be the basics, is some kind of, website possibly as well too, some kind of education behind it, being able to be realistic with your prices and things of that nature, making sure you live it. And start with what I would say is start with the people or family members, right? Even if it is something where you're doing it for free for a little bit, just get your skin in the game a little bit that way, before you're kind of asking for the stars and the moon in regards to what you're going to receive. You got to kind of prove yourself a little bit, to make sure you're competitive and make sure it's something you want to do as well. That's a whole nother thing is, after you start to do it, do you enjoy what you're doing? Can you do it, quote unquote, for free, like people say? And that's probably where you can start off with, and it'll start to develop, man. That's the way business works, especially if you're passionate about it. Mm-hmm. If you're passionate about it, things will just start to happen. When you put the work in, it's magical, right? Like I say, I'm a man of faith, so I know where it's coming from for me, but the world has a way to work for you when you start to work in what you really want to do. You just put that work in, right? You put the work in, and you kind of see the pitfalls along the way. You trip and you fall, you learn, right? You kind of see who has done it. You reach out to them. There's a bunch of resources with people you could actually research online, people that have successfully created that business. How do they do it? They will give you the step-by-step even more than myself. But you got to just get out there and start somewhere. Start with a name for yourself, for a logo. A lot of people have analysis paralysis, man, and I've been a victim to that as well too, where I'm thinking so much. Where do I start? Where do I start? This person built this business. This person getting this way. This person did it this way with fitness. You got to just go, man. You got to go. And it's a test of time. Is, are you willing to put that work in? But you got to just kind of get going with, what you really want to do. Logo, right? Making sure that you're backed, as far as so you won't get sued, and kind of have some kind of platform for yourself too.
Yeah. So talk to me too, right, about your social media, right, and the content that you post, because I'm a big believer that social media really is your online resume, right? Before people even meet you in person, nowadays they are going to go to your Instagram and see what it is that you post, and that really will help them form a true opinion on you. So how has that been, right? Your approach towards posting your actual workouts on social media?
I think taking your time with it, man. So this is something where I was doing it for a while. Where I'm just kind of posting stuff up there, but you got to make sure that it makes sense. Yeah. Make sure that it's to a certain demographic. Again, the times that you post as well. And this is something that I'm learning too. But if I'm going to build an online business, I got to be privy to when to post. I got to be privy to Instagram, hashtags, stuff like that. So make sure, number one, that it's something that's going to build some value. Simple stuff. Again, you got to look at who are you trying to have view your stuff, right? Is it somebody that's been working out for a very long time, that likes the nerdy stuff, that likes the scientific stuff, or do you want to appear to the masses? So what is your business predicated on? Is it on the bodybuilders? Is it on strength people? Is it on the general public, which is like myself, people trying to lose weight? That's 70% of the United States, right? So I'm going to speak in layman's terms of how to get to point B, certain little tips that are very, very important that may have some controversial information on the internet, as far as like I said earlier, 2 weeks to shredded abs or something. I'll let you know the real about it, right? Be transparent and real. Listen, it's going to take a lot longer. We all have abs, but you got to be in a caloric deficit. Mm-hmm. This is how you burn more calories. Boom. Something very, very short, sweet. But now you just get it. You don't want to be too long-winded with explaining what it is. You want to make sure that it's something that people can just grasp and digest, like we were talking about earlier. So making sure that you're with the times. Like, I'm just getting more into reels. And I think that's the thing where everybody's just doing reels. You know what I'm saying? So there's not many stories, you got your pictures, but it's mostly reels now. So stick with the times. Again, if you have the resources, you can hire somebody to do that for you. But use the resources you have for free on YouTube, right? Like how to scale my business using Instagram. And a lot of times it's the times you post, right? You don't want to post on
and this is some advice, but it's kind of practical. Like I'm not gonna poke on a Monday at 9 a.m. or something, right? Probably be 5 p.m. This is just something that's pretty practical. So knowing when to post, making sure it's not too saturated where you're just posting two posts, right? Lighting and stuff is important. I'm not the best at it, right? So I talk to my girl all the time. She's good with that stuff, right? Typically, I find that the females are very, very good with lighting, stuff like that too. So lean on the resources you have, but it has to make sense, has to be value. People's attention spans aren't super long. So maybe 20, 30 seconds, 15 seconds, real quick to it, right? And I've seen you do that as well too. Something that's going to grab somebody's attention, that's going to funnel them to you. So now you can give them more of the main course, just a little appetizer to bring them in. Now you can kind of have them digest exactly what it is that you do, at least to draw them in.
Yeah. Yeah. And also too, like one thing as a social media and content creator myself, I would encourage people to do is like, think about the content that you consume yourself, right? Think about the people it is that you follow. Think about the things that you save and comment on and engage on. And obviously not saying you copy or duplicate that, but just use that as some sort of measurement for yourself. Like, okay, I am in this space and I am engaging with certain type of content. Maybe, just maybe, I start thinking, okay, how do we use this for myself and the brand? Right. Are there any specific apps that you've used or noticed to be helpful at all with your journey, or at least apps that your clients may have used at all?
In regards to like social media?
No, not like social media apps like Instagram or Twitter. But I mean, like if there's like a fitness app or a calorie count app, I'm not.
Right. So literally for me, two parts of that answer that I'm going to give you is I use Trainerize. That's a platform that I literally use, where it's very, very simple. On Trainerize, if you would like to try to log in now, you wouldn't be able to, but it has sort of like sample videos of what it's able to provide. Like I can message you all the time. I set videos of how to do the workouts. There's instructions in there. You can literally set a timer if it's like a circuit, and it'll have a countdown for you. It counts down the rest for you as well. There's badges for doing like 5 workouts a week. You could link up any of your, like fitness apps, or not fitness apps, but like Apple Watch or something to it. So it'll count your calories for you. That's one of the apps that I know of. Yeah, MyFitnessPal that a lot of people know of as well too. There's an app called Macros, but I literally use my calculator and I just count calories. So I'll start with where I know my calories are on the day in my calculator. And I'll just subtract all day. Everything has a food label on it, and if not, do that extra work. It all takes work. Look up, how many calories in a boneless, skinless chicken breast, right? Then you can see what that is and you'll subtract it. So for what I'm able to do, I set your calories for you because I'm able to kind of see where you are on your journey. We're able to kind of play a little bit as far as how you're feeling hunger-wise. And I set this all up in some of my PAR-Qs and my templates to get you going. And we could use either MyFitnessPal, you could use a calculator, or I actually am able to write exactly what you want to eat every single day. I send you kind of a list of certain protein, carbs, and fats. We'll manipulate it to what you like. Again, because I'm not going to have you eat chicken and broccoli if you can't stand broccoli, right? I'm going to figure out what you like to eat that maybe we can manipulate a little bit to make it more healthy, right? Let's say you do like veggies, but you like to use oil. We'll take that oil out, put something else in there. So everything's fully customized. And then again, if you don't like the calculator approach, we can use MyFitnessPal. So I'm going to work with you with what you can do day to day on what what works within your day. Because you have some people that are accountants. You got some people that are full-time entrepreneurs that I work with. You got some people that are working 100 hours a week. So I'm going to figure out, okay, what do we got to do to be able to manipulate your day where you can still succeed, lose weight, put on muscle, things of that nature. So I do whatever we have to. Yeah.
Let me ask some. Do you have any clients that you've never met in person before?
Yes. Yeah. So I've had clients in Atlanta. I've had them all over the different states. I've had some people that were given to me from other clients as well too. I do like a raffle giveaway where if you have, you reach out, 2 people sign up, $200 raffle. A few people have been able to win that as well too. So I believe in giving, but yeah, there's been a few that I've never really met in person for sure. And that's why I did it is I want to be able to, my biggest goal and dream is being able to, with real estate and everything I'm doing, be on an island somewhere and be able to sit and program. Right. And nowadays with social media, I could boost it somewhere where now when I'm in that island, I could reach people around there as well too, and kind of broadcast out there, meet them out there, start to program from. And there's no better feeling than not being able to meet somebody and having them lose 20 pounds. I had somebody that was 430 pounds or so, and he just got below 300 or so, below 400. So lost like 30 pounds, 50-pound people that have lost about 50 pounds or so. And that's the best, man, is if you have somebody that was kind of given to me from another client And you can tell on either the phone call I talk to them or when I'm talking to them. As far as on Instagram, they're a little nervous because they didn't have the best experience. They just don't know. And a lot of times trainers get bad reps of like just drill sergeants and just 1,000 push-ups, 1,000 burpees, right? And I'm able to kind of, use my communicational skills to let them know that you can get there, right? We're going to figure this out together. I work tirelessly for my clients. All I ask is give me the best 30 days you have. So right now, the way that my program works is just 30-day increments. So nothing's contractual. Yet at some point I probably will. Just, it makes more sense business-wise. And typically it takes a while to lose a drastic amount of weight or put on a substantial amount of muscle. But I make sure it's very user-friendly where give me the best 30 days you got. And I promise I'll give you mine. And you see where you are at the end of 4 weeks or so. So there's definitely people that I haven't met and they've had great success, man. And like I said, those messages where they say, listen, you changed my life. I'm going to take what you gave me and I'm going to run with it. That's cool with me, right? And a lot of times they stuck with me for 5, 6, 7 months. And I get messages where, hey, money's tight right now, but you're not going to go anywhere. You're the last to go. So I'm good for next month. And I'm just so thankful for that as well. When I know the going gets tough, my goal is to be the last to go. You know what I'm saying? Pizza night goes, movie night goes, whatever goes. I want to stay here because I want to make sure that I'm bringing that much value. So yeah, it's a blessing for sure.
Yeah, and we talked about those sacrifices and people making decisions, and that kind of says a lot too. Because I mean, it's tough. I don't say any of this stuff as if like it's easy. If you're trying to
Right.
certain goal, we all got to make adjustments. We are human beings. But you did mention real estate. You did mention real estate. So just to tackle that a little bit, you just I know I'll let you, I guess, quote unquote, break the news or tell folks about your new endeavors in the real estate.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So I'm trying to do it all, man. And again, going back to being a dreamer, I think, and I'll go back to that, but I think the two most important things you could have is ownership and time, right? Is what you do with those things. You don't get time back. Ownership, and that goes even more depth than just real estate, like owning your decisions, being accountable. You got to own it. If you own it, no one can take it from you. And that goes into real estate. And I've heard that from, YouTube, things of that nature of, if you own a piece of land, man, you could flip it, you could do whatever you want with it. So I kept hearing owning something, right? Being able to sell it, whatever it may be, is one of the biggest assets you can have. And I've done sales all the time. I've communicated all the time, and I've just got a liking for that, for having a home, being able to sell a home, right? Being able to own a home, being able to have tenants and things of that nature, and a substantial amount of wealth, but also helping people be able to find that first home, right? Has to be a feeling that I can only imagine. And even the brokerage that I'm signed with, she actually sold my mom her house. I also got a buyer for the house as well, my aunt and my sister. So the brokerage I'm with is very close to home. And for me, man, this journey started like a year and a half ago. Someone that actually used to be a trainer for me at the current job I'm at now, she had departed, went her separate ways, and told me about real estate and said, she just got her license. I know it's very saturated. A lot of people have it, but I'm someone super competitive, man. So when you put the work in, you can make it happen, because there's people that got it that didn't do anything with it. Then you got people that's killing it, right? And I want to get in the game and make sure that it happens. So she had told me about it. There was like a course. This was during COVID. So 60-hour course every Saturday from like 9 to 5, 12 weeks. And I'm somebody, if I say I'm going to do it. So once I say I'm going to do something, I'm already like in gear of, man, this is going to be tough, but it's almost like I did it already, because I know the journey is going to be gritty. And if I say it, it's going to happen. I'm not going to say something and not go for it. So she told me what it was. I thought about it. I'm like, I'm going to go for this thing. There's a reason why we had this conversation. And I signed up for it. That was 12 weeks in a row, learning stuff that, I couldn't tell you the half of it now, man, because it was just grueling, 6-7 hours, no real breaks in there. The tutor made it fun, right? And then afterwards, there was a process of like 4 or 5 months where it had to go sent off to Nevada, where it's the PSI headquarters. Then it's test time, right? So 6 months later, I'm still working. I'm still building my business now as far as Get Fit Right LLC. While it's going on, I'm waiting for this time to process. So now I can take the test. You can go to a facility. It's federal. Then you got the state. It's, I think, 90 questions for the federal, 50 questions for the state. And it's very, very intense, man. You go in there, you take it on the computer, you got to wear your mask. And I swear, they put the heat up in there, right? So I went into the facility. It was mad uncomfortable. I was toasty. So I swear they turned the heat up. It was like 70 degrees where I was, and I went to take the test 90. I didn't know what was going on. So went in there, did a little bit of studying, and I got slapped in the face by the test. It was hard. I didn't realize it was that difficult. failed it, right? Both sections. And the good news is if you pass one, you only got to take the other one. So failed it the first time, right? I'm leaving and I'm like, that was kind of real, right? I didn't retain all that information. So the issue I had was from that first time I failed, I would go back in like 2 weeks to retake it instead of right away. With building my business, with having a full-time job, so I had to find some time to study. I get up super early. I'm up at like 3 a.m. I don't get home with after working out programming for my people till like 5 or 6, and my study time will be from like 6 p.m. to like 7 or 8. Then be in bed by 9, back up at 3, right? So when I took that long hiatus for 14 days, I would forget a lot of the information. So long story short, took it 2, 3, 4, 5th time. I passed the state, missed the federal by 1 point, right? I mean, it got to the point where the people at the test center, they already knew who I was. They knew what time it was. But I took it as a badge of honor. You know what I'm saying? I'm someone that I knew would add to my testimony. I'll be resilient. 8, 9, right? And then I took it the 10th time, and that one was, kind of really was going to break me, right? I passed the state. That was some good news. But on the 10th one, I talked to my girl, actually, and I was like, maybe there's another way where I don't necessarily have to get my brokerage license and be able to flip houses. People do it all the time, right? And I knew in the back of my mind that was out. You know what I'm saying? I don't do that, man. I don't quit at all. And she, thankfully for her, had told me, you're not going to quit, man. Like, you don't do that, right? And I would be thinking long term. I don't have any kids now, but I can only imagine the way that I would push, my kids and the people around me. I'm someone that likes to push people as well, too, to be the best version of themselves, that I quit on something. Can't do it, man. I came so far, right? So on top of that, I was like, all right, I'm going to take it again. The following Friday, I called, because you always got to call in to retake the test. Mind you, every time you take it, it's $50 a pop, right? So I'm in deep. The time I had to take the course, that's $600 right there. And I'm taking a 50 a pop. I called them and I said, okay, can I take it for this upcoming Friday? Mind you, we had a big event at my current job on Thursday, which takes a very long time to prep for. They're like, I'm sorry, you can't take it Friday. And I thought that the test center was filled that day. What they said was, Jazz, your test expires Friday. So if you don't pass it by Friday or before then, you got to appeal now, and that's a whole other process. So I was like, this is 2 days before. So I'm thinking I have a whole, week. And I said, okay, it's Thursday available. The same day of this event in my job. And they said, yes, Thursday at 1. So I was like, I got to make this happen. Because if I don't, and I fail for the 11th time, I got to appeal and I got to go, you know what I mean? With this time, I'm getting my spinning cert. So I got whole other endeavors coming into play. So I was like, all right, we're going to make this happen. Probably got 2 hours of sleep in the next 2-3 days. Had the test Thursday with building for this event. So I had to leave the event early, then come back. Went in there, took the test before I hit end, man. Put a prayer up. I was like, man, I've seen all these questions 1,000 times. I know they mixed it up, add a few in there, hit it, and then ended up passing it, man. So God is good for that, man. It again, was super resilient about it. I ain't gonna lie, definitely shed a tear over it because it was real. It was real. But I say that as a badge of honor that, man, I failed it 10 times, man. You know what I'm saying? And it just wouldn't stop me, right? And it's not just me, it's the people I have in my circle. So that's another thing that's important. But was able to get that, was ecstatic. Grandmother threw a big party. She's always trying to spoil me. So that was worth it at that point. When I first started this endeavor, I thought I was wrong. But by that point, I'm like, man, we about to live it up. You know what I'm saying? So that was a blessing within itself. Now it's still a process where now we got to do, I got to register with the state. I signed with a brokerage. More money I got to pay. But I thought of it as, man, when I pass this and I get in the game, I'm going to kill it. I'm going to get my money back 10 times over. So just starting that, literally just passed it maybe 2 weeks ago or so. And now it's time to get after it, right? And I know a lot of the process is networking, a lot of phone calls, whatever, and I do that all the time, right? I'm not fearful at all to go out there and be an entrepreneur. So I'm very, very excited, very thankful that it's not something where I got to go retake the test, but we just get into it. So I can't say much, but trust me, a year from now or so, we're going to be a whole different person.
Of course. I want to hear this story too, from a overcoming obstacle standpoint, because 10 times is a lot. I'm gonna be very, very honest with you. That's a lot of times. That's a lot of times. And also too, I didn't know you had to pay for it, but that's a lot of times.
Oh man, yeah.
Be told not today. That's a lot of times.
Right.
Also too, because that's something where it's not like, all right, you failed 2 times and then you passed the third one, but you still got to go back. You had like some confidence and then you failed again, had some.
Right.
That's 10 straight L's, right? That's
Yeah,
straight.
it's
Not
a lot of
today, not
L's.
today, not so. What mental hurdle do you feel like you had to really, really deal with outside of the obvious, right? Okay, I didn't get it this time, but whenever it's going to be better. What really made you keep going back the 10th time, not the 11th time? Because you said the story of the 11th, but what kept you going back those other 10 times? Because that's a lot of times going back, man. I'm not
The
gonna lie.
biggest thing was, when it comes to me kind of growing up, there was a certain point in my life where, especially with football, especially like kind of when I got to the point where I could kind of comprehend more of like who I was and stuff. There was times where I just took a lot of losses. You know what I'm saying? I was losing a lot in certain things. Just whether it was in life as far as like, middle school, high school, stuff like that, I would lose. Wasn't good enough here. Didn't get as much playing time as I wanted to, right? Just wasn't executing, and I was sick of losing. There were certain things in my life where I was losing. And I got to that point when I wanted to lose the weight where I started to win at something. It was my life where I started to lose the weight. That was a win. Where I got into college, that was a win. Where I was able to do extremely well those last few years of high school to get into the college I wanted to. That was a win as well too. And then I was good at sales when I got into like my first job. That was a win. So I started to get addicted to the winning thing, and I started to realize, man, there's a reason why I was taking all those L's. But before, when I would be quitting at that time, and I hated that feeling. So I made a promise to myself, especially when I started with the weight loss. A lot of it was that was the pinnacle of a lot of switching in my head, where I'm going to do whatever it takes to win. And I realized at that point, and I'm obviously still learning, is losing is a part of the process. You know what I'm saying? L's are part of the process. Anyone and everyone would say that who's successful. So now, specifically with that was a lot, like you said. So it becomes something so daunting. But I'm like, man, this thing's not going to win, because I'll lose sleep over that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Something like a test, right? Something like that, something like a certain goal I have. If it's in my mind to do it, it's there for a reason. Again, me believing in God, it's in my mind for a reason, man. It's not just there to waste time, especially because I got the finances that I invested into it as well too. I have this picture there that you mean is just going to be erased. There's no way, right? And I'm right there, 1 to 2 questions. There's no way a test is going to hold me back. So the biggest thing I had to overcome was, again, it becomes more daunting. Like, okay, I failed the first time, second, third, and then this test started to really just overwhelm my mind all the time. And I'm like, that's like a bully. You know what I'm saying? I'm not about to have that thing bully me, man, after the ace. I don't care how many times it is. I'm going to crush it. I looked at it as, for whatever reason, something wants me to fail it to not kill this thing. So when I do get it, I'm going to go full throttle. So I appreciated it, because if I would have passed the first time, I might not have wanted to beast this thing as much as I want to now. Now that I've overcome the bully, right, after 10 times, now there's no chance for anybody or you know what I'm saying? That's how I look at it now, is the more that you gave me that mental callous from beating me up. Now that I got the upper hand, I'm going to go crazy, and I'm more appreciative on the other side. So during it sucks. I got the business going on. I got my spin cert that I got regular work, right? But it's all worth it at the end, because again, that journey, anything worth having is worth struggle. You know what I'm saying? So I can appreciate it way more now than if I would have just passed it like that. I still would have beasted it, but that is a testimony. So I look forward to it, right? Some people would hide that. I say it on the top of the freaking mountain, right? 11 times. You know what I mean? It took me, but I made it happen. I made it happen so you can too, type thing. But definitely grateful for that, man, for sure.
And you said this was for your real estate license. I want to make sure I get the wording right?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. And, you bring up a good point too, this idea of like, it means a lot more, now that it took 11 attempts, just because, had you gotten on the first one, maybe it may not have hit the same. And also too, that's added fuel to the fire, right? Now that you kind of progress on through your journey, you kind of carry that with you, right?
Right.
But I ask you that, right? Because for someone that tried something 10 times and succeeded on the 11th one, right? And I think that's a part of your overall story, right? Now that's a good part of the name of the show, Define Your Legacy.
Right.
That leads me right into the final question that I have for you. Okay. And that question is, how do you want to be remembered?
I say someone who's a lover of people, right? And it's a little more than that. But did everything I could to help others find the best version of themselves. Right? Meaning the only way for me to do that is to find the best version of myself, right? Is for everything that I've been through and that I'm gonna go through, just helping someone else know that they can do it too and do it even better, right? Someone that was a man for the people, I think is the best way to put it, is being as selfless as I can, right? I pride in myself, and I feel like, again, going back to being competitive, right? Is I can give my all as far as I can be a better sufferer than someone else, right? A lot of times when we gotta give to someone else, right, when we don't feel like it, it's easy to be very, very selfish. And I want to be someone known as being selfless and extremely hard worker, but it's for people, right? And that it wasn't always like that. But now that I understood what my goals are, what my aspirations are, it's really selfless, man. I'll be the sacrifice that I have to be for my family, right? For the people, as far as giving all I can to be heavily utilized to make you even better. I'll make that sacrifice. I'll be the hero for that. And I know it'll come back tenfold, not for me, but there's no better gift than giving, right? There's no better feeling than giving to other people. And I'm realizing that more and more. And you got to fight yourself every day. Because again, I'm a big believer that there's a part of you that's just not right, that just wants to be selfless, that just wants to be self-loathing, that just wants no accountability. Fighting that every day, and knowing that I won when my journey's over. And people thinking, man, he wasn't about himself. He was about doing for other people is how I want to be defined, through fitness, through real estate, through whatever it is. Just being a workhorse, man, and continue to go on uphill, man.
Yeah, and the impact is definitely there. Like I always say, like you can judge yourself, especially in your position, through like your testimonials, right? Like and sometimes that's part of the things that I look for kind of in a person or whatever. It's like, because everyone is cool on social media, right? Everyone got nice, not cool videos, nice reels, nice pictures. They travel. Yeah, cool. What are other people talking about you? That's when you really know you're providing impact, right? Because you can't force that, right? You can fake it on your own personal. Right? You can fake, what I'm saying, certain things, but when other people speak highly of you, then that's like, okay, this person genuinely is doing great things. But if you could, man, just drop your social media, right? Where can people find you? Your website, everything like that, man. Let people know where they can find you.
Absolutely. So as far as Instagram, it's at Leave Your Mark. So it's LEAVE URMARQ. Leave Your Mark, right? With a Q at the end. As far as my website, getfitwright.net. Just put it up not too long ago. Love what my web designer has been able to do. We'll add some more additions on there, so you could reach out to me there as well. As far as my email, it's going to be getfitwrightllc@outlook.com. Reach out there. On my actual website, you can fill out a questionnaire if you just want me to reach out as far as your contact information. Got a lot of things coming. I'm going to be doing live video chats as well, and going to be having spinning for a stream as well too. So if you like to spin right in your house, whatever you want to do, I'll have that coming as well too. It'll be on Twitch. It'll be on some other streaming sites as well. So look forward to hearing from you guys.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, on the Defiant Legacy front, y'all, make sure you subscribe to Theus Elijah on YouTube. All right. Follow Define Your Legacy with an underscore at the end on Instagram. Define Your Legacy on Facebook. Theus Elijah on TikTok. DYL Podcast on Twitter. And last but definitely not least, okay, all episodes of Define Your Legacy drop every Thursday at 8:24 a.m. Eastern. All right. All episodes of Define Your Legacy drop every Thursday morning at 8:24 a.m. Eastern. All right. And one last favor, all right, before we let you go. Could you leave us with some final words? It can be related to any and everything that you want, man, whether it's your journey, whether it's through fitness, financial literacy, life, motivation, whatever it is. What's a couple of words that you feel like the audience needs to hear?
Yeah, man, is take full advantage of the time that you have, man, right? I've heard it before. I haven't reached the end of the road, right? Knock on wood, God willing. But the last thing you want to do is grow older and look back and say, I wish I would have. As cliche as it is, man, that's the last thing you want. I think that's one of the biggest nightmares you could have. Is look at your time, look at your 24 hours. We all got the same thing. Do you really want what you say what you want? And I feel as though when people have these aspirations, what you do is here, depression's in the middle. So is what you're doing going to meet those aspirations? Look at yourself. Real quick, there's a term called knocking. Jordan Peterson, someone that I follow heavily. Sit on the end of your bed, wherever you are. Think to yourself, is there anything I'm doing to sabotage myself? Can I be doing more of something or less of it to get further along? And be honest. Be ready for the answer. I'm going to get you like a ton of bricks, but what are you not doing that you should be? What are you doing too much of that you shouldn't be? That's holding you back. It's you versus you.
You versus you. Exactly. At the end of the day, a lot of, you get said so often, but for y'all, just start, another day is another opportunity. And that's a real thing. Don't just be a robot. Don't
Right.
just exist. Don't just vibe. Go out
Right.
and really try and accomplish what your goals are through anything, right? Again, fitness, financial literacy, real estate. And you're a perfect example, right? Again, with the whole 11 attempt run, man. Like,
Right.
keep going until you really reach your goal. But just like that, y'all, you already know what it is. Another dope edition of Defiant Legacy. And just like that, y'all, we gone. Peace.
Yes, sir.